What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Saturdays in the SEC, episode 160. Leading off the podcast this week with another firing in the SEC. Boy, I tell you, this one moved quickly. We talked about it over the last several weeks about the potential of the LSU job becoming available, and man, it came quicker than I think anybody anticipated it with a really I would say I guess a little bit of a knee jerk reaction, but it was such a jarring result. The game against Texas A&M Saturday night in Baton Rouge, that LSU decision makers thought they had to go ahead and make a move. Didn't think the Brian Kelly era was going in the right direction. That they needed to go ahead and make a change, and so Brian Kelly's out at LSU. That leaves three SEC jobs open at the moment. Had Arkansas with Sam Pittman, Billy Napier on last week's episode, then Brian Kelly this week. So really didn't expect it this soon. Thought it would be a couple more weeks if some things didn't go their way, if they had a loss to A&M or maybe Alabama down the stretch. But as I said, this result was just so jarring that they felt like they had to make a move. Definitely some things going on in the administration down there. They don't have a president right now. The governor's involved with the board of directors there. Scott Woodward now has had two coaches fired. He hired Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M and Brian Kelly at LSU. So the two guys he's hired, two largest buyouts in college football history. So pretty crazy. What's your thoughts about this decision and this all coming together really in the last couple weeks? The loss to Vandy, now the loss to A&M, and this kind of came together quickly, and Kelly's out.
Well, I mean, you could kind of see the writing on the wall that it may be the end for Brian Kelly, or maybe nearing the end. Maybe he had one more year, but in today's college football climate, you can't really wait too long. You gotta, if you feel like that's not your guy, you're going out and getting the next guy. You're getting rid of it because people are winning in 1 and 2 seasons. They're turning programs around in 1 and 2 years. I mean, you look at a couple of programs around the country. Obviously, Oregon was really good before Dan Lanning got there, but they're a next level now. You look at Kirby, year 2 for him. He got to the national championship. I know that was a little previous, and he's something a little different, but it can be done, obviously. And then you look at Indiana. Kurt Signetti's turned that program around very quickly. So there's programs that are around the country that are viewed as lesser that are doing it. Obviously, there's strength of schedule that plays into that. But I think that they just saw he's not the answer for the future. We're getting him out of here and going to the next guy. However, it brings up, are they going to go for the big name guy, or are they going to go for a guy that's unproven and still looking to prove himself? Maybe he'd be a little more dedicated, a little more ready for the grind. Because this was about as home run of a hire as you could have gotten 4 years ago when it came out that LSU was hiring Brian Kelly. I mean, that was about as automatic as anybody thought a head coaching hire could be. And then it's turned out to what it is. Now, granted, he did win a lot of his football games. He didn't have like a horrible record or anything. It was just some of the bigger games he couldn't close, couldn't consistently get LSU to the championship, the SEC championship after his first year. Just got, honestly, progressively worse every year. His record showed it. Every year won 10 games, but the losses piled up each and every year. And then 9 wins last year, more losses. On pace for potentially 7 wins this year. So it just wasn't going the right way. But again, who are you going to go get? Are you going to go get a proven established name, or are you going to go get somebody who hasn't done anything at the big name level and take a chance on somebody? Or does Billy Napier scare you? Does the Billy Napier experience scare you because of that?
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly how much like Scott Woodward's going to have on this hire. I mean, obviously he's still the athletic director, but is there going to be more, people in on this decision? I mean, based off his track record, we know he likes to go after a big established name. Obviously neither one of those have worked out to the level that they hoped they would. Obviously, one was at another school with Fisher at A&M, but we know that he likes to go get an established name. So I think there's some things to work out there. As you said, it just seemed like Brian Kelly just reports and what we've heard over the last couple of days that, Kelly kind of seemed to be checked out a little bit, over the offseason. He really wasn't in as much on like some big recruiting weekends. Some of the staff moves were not really from him. They were kind of made from the GM, from the administration. So he didn't really have like great relationships with these guys prior before joining his staff. So, it just kind of seemed like he had checked out a little bit. The relationships just didn't seem to be good. It just, you could kind of feel it on the sideline. Now, obviously, it does get a little bit more toxic when you're not, winning games at the level that you want to. But just seemed like he had a hard time taking accountability. I mean, every game, like every time it wasn't going their way, all you do is just see him, chewing an assistant out. Or it just, I don't know, it just seemed kind of toxic to me from the outside. And I think
agree.
they kind of saw that, and with some of the results on the field, just felt like, hey, like, we don't really feel like this is correctable, certainly this year, but we want to go ahead and make a move. And I mean, honestly, like, LSU's the quality of job. Like you said, record was good, won 10 games every year, but, I mean, they brought him in to win a national championship and to compete for championships year in and year out, and it just didn't seem like they were headed in that right direction enough to be able to get over that hump eventually. And this was such a make-or-break year, too, kind of going back to the expectations for LSU leading into the season. Like, this was like an $18 million roster. Like, they were the most active team in the portal. Garrett
Nussmeier chose to come back.
Exactly. I mean, a fifth-year guy, a multi-year starter, came back. They went, invested heavily in defense. Blake Baker and this defensive staff in their second season went and got the guys that they needed this year. But, again, the offense just didn't come through. Nussmeier wasn't great, but the offensive line wasn't any good. The running game wasn't any good. So it was just a lot that went wrong, especially on that side of the ball. And but it's going to be curious now to see who they go get. Do they take that big swing, or do they end up settling for somebody, that's a little more unproven at the Power 4 level? I mean, this is such a big investment, a $54 million buyout. To me, this didn't seem it didn't seem a little knee-jerk, It didn't seem like a really well-thought-out plan, because it's like normally when you make this kind of move, you've got a guy like on the line, on the hook, basically, that you're like, yeah, this is our guy, we're going to go get him now.
And they're saying they're
it
negotiating
doesn't really feel that way
buyout.
for LSU.
Yeah, they're saying they're negotiating a buyout. That's crazy to me. There's no way. Like,
why would he take one penny less?
100%. Like, they're saying they're negotiating. They're offering him $10 million now. Maybe they'll pay the extra 40, whatever, in the future. And it's like, what? No. Nobody. You signed the contract. Nobody's going to agree to that. But yeah, I thought that was insane that came out. Also, something that we're not even going to entertain on this podcast. Like, this is the joke of the year. There's been reports via three-man front, like the people they have on their segments and such. Multiple ones I've heard say that Nick Saban is a potential name that they're going to go after. Hilarious. If you genuinely think that man will be on the LSU coaching, or on the sidelines for LSU coaching, you're out of your mind. That's not even going to happen. We're not entertaining that here. So if you're listening and saying, well, why aren't you saying this? No chance in any way that happens. So don't even.
Yeah, I mean, now are they going to call him for sure? I mean, yeah, they're going to ring his hook, but
no way he's going to coach. He got out of it for a reason, but also if he was going to go back and coach, it would not be at LSU. I know he's been there before, but it ain't happening. He still owns payroll at Alabama. It ain't happening. But I digress.
So I guess let me lay off. Who do you think the top candidates are, and who would you go get, or who are your main guys if you're LSU? Like, give me 3 or 4 that you think's going to be in the running for the job, or you think that would be good fits there for their next head coach.
Obviously, first call is Lane Kiffin. I mean, you got to try. He's the hottest name around. I think he's the best coach that's not just actually cemented to a school just yet. Like, Kirby's not going anywhere. Ryan Day's not going anywhere. I mean, you can throw Dabo in there because he's won a championship. He's the only one of 3 active coaches that's won a championship. He's not going anywhere if he doesn't want to. So I would say you got to go after Lane for sure. Give him a call. I mean, John Summerall's in state down there in Tulane, doing really good. He's won everywhere he's been. Won at Troy, is winning at Tulane. So you could stay in state and do that. Now, will they do that? Who knows? There's a guy, Morris. I can't think of his first name, down in North Texas. I think he's a really good coach. I believe they got the highest rated offense. So those are some guys you can go out and get that's unproven. But I feel like if you want to shake some things up in the SEC or around college football, you go out and you try and maybe get like a Josh Heupel, try and outbid Tennessee for a Josh Heupel or something. Because I know Tennessee is a great place, and in today's college football, you'll see Ole Miss can be just as competitive or better than LSU. But I think that LSU could maybe pull Josh Heupel away from Tennessee, maybe because money talks.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last week, with Lane Kiffin. I mean, he's going to be the hottest name this cycle by far. Thought there was a good chance. Like I said, thought this LSU job was probably going to come open. It did sooner than we thought. Deep down Florida hated to see this happen for sure.
And
I mean, just to add him. Yeah, just to happen, just to, have this another job, a high-level job in the SEC come open. Like you said, same for Penn State, too. Just another big fish that's fighting for a candidate pool that, like I said, is not deep at all in quality, like proven Power 4 coaches. Like I said, I think guys like Summerall, a guy like, I know Brent Key's already at the Power 4 level, but a guy like Alex Goish at USF, like, there's a lot of guys that I think are really good and are probably going to be good in the future, but it's like, man, you don't make a $54 million move, I feel like, to go get an unproven guy. Right. So, I mean, I could see Summerall getting it, but like I said, I have a feeling there's probably going to be some pushback with people at LSU not wanting to make this kind of move and then have to settle for somebody who's a little more unproven, even though I think he would do really good there probably. But yeah, I think it's going to come down to Kiffin. I think he's going to have his choice of staying at Ole Miss. I'm definitely not ruling that out at all. And then LSU or Florida, I think he's going to. I think both those options are going to be on the table for him if he so chooses, and I think he's highly going to entertain those. I don't know his inner thoughts of how I know he's ingrained there in Ole Miss, but. Does he truly think that he can be a national title contender year in, year out? That's something that he's going to have to answer internally and then decide if either one of those options, if that's something he wants to take on and feel like he has a better chance to win a national title year in and compete at the highest level year in, year out. So, going to be really interesting to see. And this is such a unique situation, too, because we're not even quite to Halloween yet. And so, all these moves are not going to be happening till at December at the earliest. So it's kind of unique to have – it's going to drag out for a little bit of time, which is going to give us a lot of time to talk about it. But we'll see how it unfolds, but definitely a very bold move for LSU. And then wanted to get into the game a little bit and get your thoughts on A&M coming into Baton Rouge, obviously ending Brian Kelly's tenure, but absolutely dominating this game in the second half.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, early on, we talked about, the pressure being on Brian Kelly, and you thought, okay, well, he's coaching, he's doing really well. I mean, they get back-to-back turnovers, get a touchdown off turnover, end up taking the lead going into half, and then out of half, they could do absolutely nothing, and Texas A&M could do no wrong. I mean, Texas A&M had essentially five possessions in the second half and scored on 4 of them. LSU had 4 possessions or 5 possessions and punted on 4 of them. So it was a completely different game in the second half. I thought after back-to-back drives being interceptions that Texas A&M on the road, maybe it gets out of hand and maybe it starts to unravel. But they proved again that they're legit. They're a championship caliber team, because teams that aren't built mentally strong enough to handle the long season and going and making a championship run, they fold right there at halftime. With how that half ended, they probably fold. They came back and dominated and clearly showed that they were the best team. And for sure, I think, again, I've said over and over again, this team's going to compete for a championship. Right now, this team is the best team in the conference, arguably the best team in college football. They are my pick right now to win the SEC championship. I'm probably not swaying from that pick. I think I've said this a billion times. They have shown they can win 12 different ways. Whatever the game dictates, however you have to win that game, Texas A&M's proven they can do it. They're not going to take no for an answer. I like Mike Elko. The team's taken on his identity. I'm telling you, this team is going to be something really serious at the end of the year. They're starting to click. They're going to be playing their best ball. They're playing their best ball now, but they're going to continue to get better. I expect this team to be in Atlanta, and I expect them to win their first ever SEC championship this year.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, like you said, as we've continued to talk about winning a multitude of ways, I mean, outscored LSU 35-7 in the second half, outrushed them 220 to 60. You know, LSU 60 total yards, a season low 2.2 yards a carry. A&M's front seven just dominated, particularly in the second half. They had 7 sacks and 11 tackles for loss in this game. Marcel Reed over 100 yards on the ground. And I thought a big, and showing how A&M can even win with special teams too, had a punt return touchdown. I think had around 200 total return yards in this game. Had the one punt return touchdown, had another long punt return that set up a score as well. So just showing how they can, win in all three phases, really. So I was super impressed. These edge rushers are something serious. The receivers, man, are just electric. Casey Concepcion did it in a return game, did it as a receiver. What kind of put salt on the wound for the Brian Kelly era in LSU is one of his first moves coming in was firing Tommy Moffitt, who was running the strength staff and was part of some of those LSU championship runs. Well, he's now at A&M.
Part of all three. He was part of all three.
Yeah.
That's crazy that's your first fire, but yes, continue.
And yeah, so one of his first moves as LSU coach is showing him the door. Pretty much, he's now at Texas A&M, and obviously has kicked your tail 2 years in a row now, and this year was pretty much a frying pan to the head in the second half there. So yeah, A&M's rolling into the bye week. I mean, I think it's, we kind of said, earlier in the year, like, hey, we don't see anybody going undefeated in the SEC, and I think I'm starting to want to change that now, man. I mean, look at this schedule down the stretch with Texas A&M. You got the bye week going to Missouri with Bo Perbua's going to be out now at, they said may return this year. Got good news on him, by the way, which I'm really glad to hear. But he's not going to be playing in this game. And then you got South Carolina at home, Samford, and then go to Texas the end of the year. So it's becoming more and more clear that A&M could go 12-0 and go to Atlanta undefeated. I think that's definitely more of a reality now than maybe we thought earlier in the year for anybody. Yes. So, yeah, I love the way this A&M team's playing for sure. And, it was a unbelievable performance, especially in the second half, to clear out Tiger Stadium like they did. It was reminiscent of what Alabama did there a year ago and just clean the place out in the third and fourth quarters, and they did it about as resounding as you can. And honestly, the score doesn't even dictate how lopsided it really was in the second half in particular.
100%. And I just want to formally admit that I was dead wrong in my season previews on this team. I said I didn't think they had what it takes to get over the hump, and I was dead wrong. So my apologies. I'll wear that one, but I'm telling you, I've been riding with this team all year. They've been making me money, so I've been enjoying the run that they've been on. Moving on, Alabama and South Carolina. Man, that game, just like last year, went down to the wire. A bunch of different momentum swings in this game. Alabama is able to pull it off, pull it out late.
Yeah, I mean it was one of those games that you just have to grind out sometimes in the SEC. You're going to have a couple of these a season, usually, even if you're a really good team, where you're just playing your C- level game, and you got to grind it out, find a way to win it in the fourth quarter. Alabama was able to do that. Did not execute offensively for the first three quarters of this game. Give South Carolina a ton of credit, and that's why I was worried coming into this game with 4 straight weeks against ranked opponents. The last game before a bye, you're going 3 of those games were on the road in that 5-game stretch. And this Alabama team, speed rushers off the edge have given them problems all year, as they do a bunch of teams. And South Carolina's got one of the best in the country, Dylan Stewart, and he absolutely made his presence felt in this game early and often. Thought Alabama just missed some plays that they normally would hit. Thought Ty Simpson, through the first 3 quarters, had 4 or 5 passes that he just normally would make that he missed. Had some drops in there. Obviously had some missed assignments on the offensive line. The tackles in particular struggle with that speed rush. So it was just one of those things. He couldn't run the ball very well. It was just completely out of sync through 3 quarters. South Carolina was able to take advantage of that to that point. Gets a 4-quarter lead, up 8. But as people have said so far, I've heard guys like Brooke Austin on his channel talk about how elite Alabama is in the critical moments. It feels eerily similar to DeBoer's Washington team in 2023. They were in a bunch of one-possession games, and the style of offense Alabama's playing now, they're not hitting a ton of explosive plays. It's a lot of long, sustained drives, and that's just going to lead to some closer games. I think the rest of their games are going to be pretty similar. Not necessarily not executing through 3 quarters, but they're going to be close possession games. And but this Alabama team continues to come through in critical moments in games. They did it, when they needed a big play against Tennessee, they got it. 4th and 8 against Missouri on the road, up 3, they're aggressive and go for it and get it. Same thing at Georgia, converting, 14 third downs, I think, a record against Georgia in the last 30 years.
Fumble this week.
Like I said, in the fourth quarter, South Carolina goes up 22-14, and then Alabama drives down, gets a score, goes for 2 and gets it. Puts together a 14-play, 79-yard drive, forces the fumble. A really great play by Tim Keenan and Deontay Lawson, who forced that ball out, and then drove it right back down and got a touchdown. And then, 30 seconds left, didn't give up anything. Just a really impressive 4th quarter, one you just had to grind out. And I think it showed a lot about this Alabama team, even more so than maybe a game that they win by a couple touchdowns. The fact that you came through in a gotta-have-it moment, because you're going to have to do that. I think the teams that are going to compete for a national title this year are going to be the teams that get it done in the big moments, because there's just not a big margin for error in this sport this year, especially at the top. And the teams that can execute in those critical moments are the teams that I think are going to win those playoff games and give themselves a chance to win a national title. This Alabama team has proved they can do that time in and time out. And I do think the explosive plays are eventually going to be there. They were just a tick off on several this week. So I think if they can be able to hit on some of those down the stretch, that's only going to make the offense that much more effective. I just feel like there's a lot more that this offense can accomplish. I really do. That's why that's why I'm high on them down the stretch and to be able to make a run because I don't feel like they're close to hitting their peak yet offensively. Still think there's a ways to go that levels they can get to. So this bye week's coming at a great time though. It did seem like a little bit of a tired team for sure. So it's coming at a great time. Reset for the final stretch, but. Man, South Carolina battled. They did. You just missed a few opportunities. Just couldn't quite close the deal. Just, Williams-Brice giving them a lot of credit. I mean, it was rocking in the second half. That's a really tough environment. When South Carolina's competitive and they've got a chance to win a big ball game in the fourth quarter, it's about as good environment as anywhere in the country. And I tip my hat to them for the way they competed.
Yeah, 100%. Ole Miss, Oklahoma. This game was early on. I thought it was going to turn into a game where both teams were running the ball because it was kind of ugly and kind of raining. And both teams said, "Nah, we're still going to sit back and rip it." I mean, Ole Miss ran the ball. Let me see. Ole Miss ran the ball 41 times, and they threw the ball 46 times. So obviously evenly balanced, but they were letting it rip. I mean, let them throw it 46 times. I did not expect it to be that way. However, it was clear if you were watching this game that Ole Miss was the better team. The whole day, I felt like they were just a step ahead of Oklahoma. Even when Oklahoma was able to take the lead there, Ole Miss was able to answer back, and it never felt like there was a panic button pushed or that there was anything going awry on the sidelines because outside of the three big plays that Oklahoma hit, they really didn't do a whole lot on offense. They scored all of their touchdowns were on busted plays. 2 busted pass plays and a busted run play where the linebacker or the safety just fit the wrong gap, and the running back made a really good play for Oklahoma. But outside of that Oklahoma's offense couldn't really get anything going. It didn't really feel like they could ever sustain or could get a drive going. And on the flip side, Ole Miss felt like they were smooth as butter all day on the offensive side of the ball. This was the first highly ranked offense, I think, that's ranked higher than the top 70 that Oklahoma's defense has played all year. They still did pretty well. I thought that they did pretty well according to the circumstances that the game was played in. Obviously, super rainy and stuff along those lines. But just as a whole, Ole Miss was just a better ball team. Ran the ball well, pretty much at will. Lacey had a really, really good game. Chambliss, again, had a really good game. I want to know how good Austin Simmons is if Chambliss couldn't beat him out at the beginning of the year, because what Chambliss is doing now is insane. Obviously, you're not going to take him out, but Austin Simmons must be a hell of a ball player if he was keeping him at bay.
Yeah, for sure. I thought Ole Miss did a good job, obviously, we know how good Oklahoma is on defense as a whole, but particularly in the front seven, the weakness is definitely more in the secondary. Not that it's bad or anything, but I thought Ole Miss did a good job taking advantage of that and really spreading the ball around. I mean, they had 7 pass catchers with multiple receptions. I mean, they were spreading the ball around. Like I said, not a great day on the ground, but some key yards. So, like, Keelan Lacey had 27 carries, 78 yards. Like, you look at that, like, man, it's not a great day. But I thought it was a really tough and a very big 78 yards that he was able to get. Trinidad Chambliss
I thought they ran it well. Yeah, box score doesn't line it up, but I thought that they ran it pretty well. Kept drives going with it. Got a couple first downs. Got a couple bigger runs.
I did as well, and that's why I was a little surprised when I looked at the box score, because it felt like they ran it better than what the numbers say, and that's why I say I think it was a big 78 yards, and Chambliss had a couple runs as well that really helped out. So I thought although it wasn't a huge day on the ground, thought it was very critical though. Like I said, spreading the love around, they did a great job. Chambliss continues to play at a high level. They were able to attack some mismatches, some vulnerabilities, I guess you could say, in the Oklahoma secondary. And the Ole Miss offensive line did a great job. Just 1 sack on the day, which is against this Oklahoma, pass rush. I mean, you got David Stone and R. Mason Thomas, like guys that can flat out get after you, and that I thought they did a really solid job. So, just thought Oklahoma's offense, like you said, kind of boom or bust. They had a couple big plays, but then they had a lot of drives that were only like 3 or 4 plays, so they just weren't able to really sustain very well. I thought John Mateer was just subpar, especially at the end of the game. I thought plays were there. He was just missing them, and like I said, I mean, this was a guy who literally had his hand sliced open less than a month ago. So, I mean, It's not the biggest surprise that he's a little bit off. But I thought there were some plays to be had that, even on the final couple drives that could have gave Oklahoma a better chance to win. They just couldn't connect on them. And, like you said, just thought Ole Miss was one step ahead. They just looked like the better team. And they were able to come through and get a really big win. And, Oklahoma's a team kind of still searching for a signature win.
Yeah.
But Ole Miss certainly got another one in this game going into Norman, beating Oklahoma and staying alive. Obviously, a really great chance to make the college football playoff and still alive for the SEC championship race as well.
Absolutely. I thought the Ole Miss defensive line and defense as a whole did a pretty good job of just disrupting him, keeping him uncomfortable all game. Yes, I thought this was a phenomenal game. Another game where defense was a lot more present than I needed it to be and expected it to be was Vanderbilt and Missouri. I had the over in this game. I thought, man, for sure, this is offense galore, man. We've seen Vandy put up 30-plus several times this year against decent caliber and high-caliber opponents. We've seen Missouri be able to run up and down the field. I know Vanderbilt's defense is good. I did not expect them to be this dominant. Same with Missouri's defense, man. I mean, 17-10 ball game. One of the touchdown, first touchdown was not scored until the end of the third quarter. I mean, this game was a defensive slugfest. There was a couple of turnovers, or maybe just the one turnover, but several punts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6 drives of the game were all punts. So, I mean, neither defense was going to give anything. And I think Diego Pavia, all the Heisman talk, do I think he's going to win the Heisman? No. Do I think he deserves to be in the conversation? Yes. I think his presence on that team has done more than people realize. I think without him, it's not built to what it is right now. The belief, the buy-in's probably not fully there from some of the other guys on the roster. If it wasn't there from him, I mean, the dude, he just oozes confidence, man, and he wills his team to victory. I've seen him do it several different times in several different ways. This Vanderbilt team, they're really good. I mean, they were a few plays away from being, they were in there with Alabama the whole time, a few plays away from being away from a win in that game. So, I mean, this team very well is pushing to be in the playoff conversation. I mean, if they continue to handle their business and win out, I think they will be in the playoff conversation. This Vanderbilt team, as a whole, again, kind of similar to Texas A&M. They just find a way to win a game several different ways. I don't think their roster is as star-studded as lots of others. I don't think they're as deep in lots of places. That may hurt them towards the end of the year. But the way they're playing right now, this Vanderbilt team is legit. And 7-1, man. I think their win total was 4.5 or something this year. I mean, they're going to double their win total. According to Vegas, they've got Texas this weekend, who they played extremely close last year. I think Texas is going to, be prepared for them, but Arch Manning got in concussion protocols, not practicing this week, not expected to play. They got them, then Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So realistically, looking at their schedule, Texas is favored. I don't know how. I think that they potentially could have really one more loss on there with Tennessee. I think Tennessee gives them probably the biggest fits there. So this Vanderbilt team maybe ends up in Atlanta or is in the discussion to be a decent top seed in the college football playoffs with how they're playing. This was a signature win. I mean, this Missouri team is very good. They were 6-1 coming in. This was a very good ball game. I mean, lived up to the hype for sure. Maybe not as high scoring, but this was a must see game.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy looking at it, too. I mean, Missouri really did to Vandy what Vandy does to a lot of teams. I mean, You look at Missouri had 13-minute edge in time of possession they ran 78 plays to Vandy's 45. I mean, it's
insane.
crazy. You look at total yardage, 376 to 265. It really, honestly, the long story short, the game came down to the red zone. Vandy's red zone defense forced a couple empty trips for Missouri's offense. Missouri was 1 of 3 in the red zone for 7 points. Vandy was 2 of 2 for 10 points. That was really the difference in the game. Like I said, Missouri got some yards. Obviously, time of possession favored. A big advantage in plays ran. But Vandy's red zone defense coming up big. I believe Missouri's offense crossed the 57 times, I believe. 7 different possessions they crossed the 50 and only ended up with 10 points. Like I said, just big hats off to Vanderbilt's defense, forcing some empty trips, doing a good job of keeping them out of the end zone. That was really the biggest difference in the game because Missouri had the advantage on a lot of the key statistics, particularly ones Vandy wants to dominate and typically does. That's typically Vandy's script to own time of possession, own the amount of plays ran. And, it was a red zone game, and Vanderbilt did the better job executing there, and obviously got a big win to move to 7-1. But I think really probably should have been more high scoring than it was. I don't think you were off in that thinking one bit. But like I said, you can't predict, Vandy, stalling them out in the red zone multiple times. And like I said, I think it easily could have been a little bit more higher scoring. But like I said, it was just a big credit to both teams, but particularly Vandy for holding strong there. And like I said, getting a huge SEC win with game day and the whole college football, eyes on them this weekend.
100%. All right, Texas goes to Starkville to take on Mississippi State and goes up early, but Mississippi State finds a way to battle back. Their defense is showing up. Neither team's able to run the football really well. Both teams are relying on the pass game heavily. Mississippi State takes a 3-possession lead. What I didn't understand, so Mississippi State, it's 31-14. Texas answers, makes it 31-21. And then Mississippi State answers right back with another touchdown, kind of a little screen pass that went to the house. All the momentum's in their favor. It's 21-38. Texas gets the ball back. They score again, bring it within 10. Okay, cool. When you drive down to score 38, I thought they maybe didn't take enough time off the clock. They were snapping it with like 30 seconds on the play clock. I know they go fast, but in that situation, fourth quarter, it was 12 minutes left in the game. I feel like you really want to not give the ball back till there's at least 10 to 9 minutes left, potentially. They scored quick, whatever. All right, gets the ball back. And then they go 3 and out on back-to-back possessions. I just thought they weren't taking enough time off the clock. I thought they were snapping it fairly quick with that big of a lead. Fourth quarter at home, I didn't see why they were rushing it so quick. Again, I'm not a college football coach. I don't know nothing compared to them. But were you thinking the same thing later in the game watching that? Like, why are you going so fast? Like, literally, I was watching the play clock. There was like 30 to 25 seconds, and they were or not 30 because it doesn't start at that, but like there was like 20 to 15 seconds or whatever in between each snap, and they were only taking like 10 to 12 seconds off the game clock.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was those empty possessions in the fourth quarter that allowed Texas to get back in this. Like you said, they went up 31-28. Also gave up a 9-play, 75-yard drive in less than 3 minutes for Texas to cut it to 10. Like I said, went 3 plays, went backwards, minus 9 yards. Only took a minute 40 off the clock. Texas put together a quick drive to kick a field goal to cut it to 7. And then, again, another 3 and out. Only took, obviously if you get a couple first downs there, you're able to get a little bit more clock. But they couldn't get a first down there in the fourth quarter when they really needed it. Like you said, I did think they were going a little too fast, and like we talked about, that's their style. But yeah, just definitely didn't execute. And in those moments, man, Texas had all the momentum, and you just could do nothing. Couldn't even pick up a couple first downs to kind of
Yep.
kind of settle things down a little bit, and it was boom, 3-and-out, and then you look up and it's a tie ball game. So yeah, definitely didn't execute in those moments the way they needed to. And I did want to talk about Arch Manning. I know it was first three quarters was what it was, but man, I thought in the fourth quarter he was outstanding. Man, he was battling his tail off. I mean, just these pockets were not clean at all. I mean, constant pressure on him, standing in there taking some hits. I mean, I thought he had some great throws down the field. I mean, he had the one touchdown throw he threw to the right corner of the end zone, rolling out to his right, a perfect ball. Scrambled to the left, extended a play through that one deep ball to Ryan Wingo to set up a score.
Yep.
I thought he was outstanding in this fourth quarter.
The game-winning touchdown pass to Mosley. What a play, what a throw, what a catch. I mean, perfect placement.
Yeah, so I mean, he's definitely, he's taken a lot of heat this year, and this offense as a whole has, and the offensive line, I think, has been a big reason of that, not helping them out very well. The receivers at times haven't gotten separation, but I like what I'm seeing from Arch, so he's definitely improving. He's definitely, making some things happen in definitely not ideal circumstances. So I liked a lot of what I saw from him in this game, particularly late, and obviously he was a huge reason they were able to come back in this game and win it. It's unfortunate he got a concussion there in overtime, and hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. But what a throw by Caldwell, though, to that touchdown pass in overtime.
Yes.
That was his one pass.
You're right, that was Caldwell. I forgot he was out with a concussion. You're right, that was Caldwell.
Yeah, so Caldwell, he was 1-1 for 10 yards, and it was absolute beauty. So
yeah, it was.
But yeah, I like what I saw from both those guys, and I thought Arch really, really played well late, and even gave them a chance to get to that point. But yeah, just heartbreaker for Mississippi State, man. I mean, they just have come so close and just cannot able to close the deal. I mean, that's 3 SEC games now. Tennessee at home, at Florida, and now Texas at home. They've been in position, and just a couple things they're just not able to close the deal on. I think it's coming sooner rather than later. I like what I'm seeing from them. They're really competitive against teams that are a good bit more talented than them. So, I mean, a lot of credit to them. It's not a surprise that they're losing these games by any means. I mean, you have to really tip your hat the fact that they're so close to winning a lot of these games, but I know that it's eating at them a little bit to not be able to close the deal on games they feel like they should.
100%. I want to touch on Auburn, Arkansas, and Kentucky and Tennessee before we move into next week's games. Auburn goes into Fayetteville, gets their first conference win of the year. It did not come easily. However, Auburn fans are definitely excited to see that they decided to stick with the run game. Jeremiah Cobb had a great day on the ground, 28 for 153. I thought that he really, led the offense for sure. They only threw the ball 20 times total. Thought one time shouldn't have thrown the ball. They ran the ball all the way down there right before half to potentially go and tie the game or take the lead. I think they might have brought it within a possession. It was 14-10, I think, so they would have gone up 17-14. They're driving down, running the ball extremely well. Get down there on the 15-yard line or whatever it is, and Jackson Arnold throws an interception to the house. Don't understand. They had him turn his back to the side he was throwing the ball on that RPO. I thought that was interesting, but just direct handoff with how they have been marching down the field, running it at a 5-6 yard clip per carry. So I mean, that baffled me. Then Arkansas was able to take a 21-10 lead there, and then second half, man, defense turned it on. Without the defense, Auburn doesn't win this game. Defense forced 4 turnovers, forced fumble, 3 interceptions. One of them was a pick six. Rayshawn Pleasant had 2 interceptions, his first one taken back to the house. I thought the defense swarmed. They had Taylor Green moving around all day. Apparently had him seeing ghosts there in the second half. I thought, secondary played extremely well. Without Durkin, Auburn doesn't win this game. Auburn's only fined 7 points. Auburn put up 33 points, only fined 7 of them offensively on the first drive to a fantastic play to Cam Coleman. And then you get 6 field goals from Alex McPherson, so he gets to redeem himself from last week. That was pretty cool to see. Ties the school record. And then you get the pick 6 there in the second half. So Auburn finally found a way to win, doing it on the road in the conference yet, not against a great opponent, but doing it on the road. It was a good feeling, good to see that they were able to fight from behind and find a way to win a game when odds were stacked against them. Maybe the floodgates will open now for them. They can find ways to win several more games. I thought defensively, man, Xavier Atkins, my God, he made himself some money both in the transfer portal or by Auburn retaining him and in the future when he goes to the NFL, because that man is playing lights out the last 3 weeks for sure. Saturday was forced the fumble, had a couple I think 13 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, something along those lines. I mean, dude played out of his mind, has been playing out of his mind for a while. Auburn's defense is championship caliber for sure. They got to find ways to continue to impact games the way they're doing to help the offense out. Ashton Daniels comes in after Jackson Arnold gets benched at the quarterback position. I thought played well, led the offense well. It didn't feel like anything was like there was no confidence there. The offense ran smoothly, I thought. I thought it was, he made the right reads, right decisions for the most part. Hugh Freeze said in his presser that they only graded him, I think, 2 missed assignments or 1 missed assignment or whatever. They said he graded out extremely well. There's an open quarterback battle this week at Auburn's practice, so we'll see come Saturday who runs out there as QB1. I expect it to be Daniels. Obviously, I don't think that that's the end-all, be-all, and that it's going to turn around much more. The offense has still got a lot to work on. Had a true freshman playing center. I thought Cale Ellis did a really good job all day. I don't think there was any bad snaps. I don't think that he had too many times where he was blown up and just hurt a play or anything. But, competition is going to ramp up. They got Kentucky this week, so, they're favored by 10.5 points, which is crazy to me. But anyway, they found a way to get a win. If you want to chime in, you can, and we can move on.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say, I'll tell you how not to close out a game. You're up. If you're Arkansas, you're up 24-19 going in the fourth quarter. You throw a pick 6, you fumble, you throw another interception, and you throw another interception. That's your 4 fourth quarter possessions, up 24-19. Yep. That is the epitome of closing the game well. But give a lot of credit to Auburn's defense for forcing those. I like what you said about Ashton Daniels. I thought it did look smooth for real. Obviously they didn't ask him to do a lot or ask him to do anything crazy, but it just felt like he made good solid decisions. Just don't screw it up, man. Just don't screw it up that bad. It's like that one Jackson Arnold play was mind-boggling to me. There's no way that was coached. He had to do that on his own. Him turn his body it's like, why are you even throwing that ball? It just made no sense. Those are the kind of plays where you're like, dude, you can't do that. And like I said, I mean, that's a play that can come back to beat you. Luckily for Auburn, it didn't, and their defense, like I said, literally turned them over every possession in the fourth quarter. But, but I mean, those are the type of plays that get you beat in the SEC. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens this week. But I thought Ashton Daniels was solid. Like you said, the run game got going. I mean, Jeremiah Cobb, 28 carries, man. I mean, we've been calling for years we've been calling for years now for Auburn running backs to be handed the rock, and he definitely did that in this game. So, I mean, any win's a big win in the SEC, especially Auburn being 0-4 in the conference, getting their first SEC win this year. I mean, by any means necessary, like you said, their defense is playing at an extremely high level, and obviously the main reason they've been in all of these games and a big reason they end up winning this game in Fayetteville.
100%. Let's jump to Tennessee and Kentucky. Me and Cam were talking about it earlier. Aguilar continues to impress through the air. I mean, 20 for 26 for 396, 3 touchdowns. They scored on their last 5 possessions, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the last 5 possessions that Tennessee had, they scored, or last 4. They could do no wrong on offense, especially in the second half. I thought they played extremely well in the third and fourth quarter. Kentucky, turned it over, couldn't get anything going, had a couple of 3-and-outs, interception, fumble. Just, have a freshman quarterback. He's playing pretty well, throwing it pretty well, but there's a lot of problems there in Kentucky. There's rumblings that Stoops is on the outs and he may be done. They've been struggling for a couple of years now, ever since their 10-9 win season last year, or 4 or 5 years ago. They've been just continually getting worse and worse year in and year out. I think the transfer portal era has hurt Kentucky. I think players are leaving there and not going there, in the NIL is not as strong there for football. So I think a change is coming for Kentucky. I mean, they fought and they were able to score some points, and it was just they were playing catch up all night. It seemed like Tennessee was never in doubt in this game. They stuck to the run game as well. They didn't just dominate on the run game, but they stuck with it. 108 yards, but really they didn't have to worry about anything because, like I said, Aguilar was doing everything through the air. Their receiving room is different there in Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, Joey Aguilar was a lead in this game. I mean, a bunch of deep shots. I mean, they connected on a lot of explosive pass plays. I mean, Brazel, Matthews, and Staley all over 100 yards apiece. I mean, not much more to say other than that. I mean, like I said, Kentucky had a lot of success through the air as well. I mean, Coder Bowley's played pretty well, honestly. I mean, for the most part, doing a pretty good job for Kentucky. But, yeah, I mean, this Tennessee offense is super explosive. I mean, Bishop and Thomas, had decent days on the ground. But, it was all about the Tennessee pass game. And we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but I can't wait for this matchup with Tennessee's offense against Oklahoma's defense. Night game in Neyland. Like I said, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but that's going to be a heck of a matchup this weekend.
All right, moving in to next week. Vanderbilt takes on Texas at 11 a.m. Kickoff SEC football play. Texas is a 2.5-point favorite. It is in Austin. Over-under at 45.5. Vanderbilt money line plus 125. Like I said, Arch Manning is in concussion protocol, not practicing this week as of today. Reports coming out, he's still not practicing. He expected to play. Everybody's expecting him to play, but no participant in practice. So, I can't believe Texas is favored. I get it, the home field advantage, all that stuff. I just cannot believe it. I like Vanderbilt to win this game. Vanderbilt was not the better team last year, and they took them down to the wire. Vanderbilt's the better team this year. Give me Vanderbilt to cover. Give me Vanderbilt to win. I also like the over 45.5. I think Vanderbilt is going to try and run the score up. I think Texas is going to get theirs, but I think Vanderbilt is their offense is better. They're going to sustain more drives, piece more drives together, finds a way to get into their side of the field, come away with 3 and 7 consistently. I like Vanderbilt to win this game by a touchdown or 2. Vanderbilt plus 2.5. Vanderbilt money line. I like it, and I like the over.
This is one of those spots where it kind of feels like the Oklahoma one going into it a little bit, like where Texas was favored, but everybody was on OU. I don't think that's going to happen again here. I have a ton of respect for. I mean, I think the reason Texas favored, obviously, we know how talented they are. I think that's a big factor into this. Texas on paper is the more talented team. It is at home, but I'm like you. I just like the way this Vanderbilt team's playing right now. With Arch Manning being questionable, with Texas, the deficiencies on the offensive line, and the defense, man. The defense gave up a lot more than I expected against Mississippi State. I mean, this Texas defense is still elite, don't get me wrong, but I think it's close, but I think I like Vandy to go in and get a road win here at 11 a.m. in Austin. Like I said, with the questions with Arch Manning being in concussion protocol, like I said, I love the way he played late in that game against Mississippi State, but the offensive line, man, has just really struggled. This Vanderbilt defensive line, like they can create some havoc up front. So yeah, I'm gonna lean Vandy in this one. If Arch was like fully healthy, I might feel a little more for Texas, but I'm going Vandy in this game as well.
All right. World's largest cocktail party, Georgia and Florida in Jacksonville. Georgia a 7.5 point favorite, over under 50.5. I like the under in this game. I like Georgia minus 7.5. I don't think that there's. I think Florida's defense that we've talked about several times is very good. I think it's the best part of their team for sure. Their offense has struggled consistently all year. Georgia's offense is starting to find their identity. They didn't start slow. Obviously, they had a bye week this past week, but they didn't start slow the week previous against Ole Miss when that was their problem. I think this Georgia team comes in here and handles business against this Florida team. I don't think Florida's going to have any answers for them on either side of the ball. Georgia's defense is extremely good against this struggling Florida offense. I like Georgia to win this game handily. Give me the Dogs minus 7.5. And I think this is a game that ends in like a 35-7, 35-10 type victory for Georgia. Goes under the total, under 50.5.
I like Georgia in this game as well. The one thing I am curious, all these teams around the country kind of gotten a little interim coach bump a little bit, you know. You've seen it with several teams kind of rallying the troops a little bit. I think Florida can keep this pretty close with their defense. I know Georgia's offense has been pretty explosive, but I think Florida can maybe make a few things happen offensively, but I don't. It's not enough to beat Georgia, I don't think, at all. Like I said, I think there could maybe be a little bit of a bump with the interim coach there. I mean, you've seen it with a few schools around the country, but at the end of the day, I think Georgia's just too much. They're both coming off bye weeks, both going to be fresh. But, yeah, I think Georgia wins this game in Jacksonville. I just don't think Florida's ultimately going to have enough offensively to win it.
All right. Mississippi State and Arkansas. Mississippi State's going to Fayetteville. Arkansas is a 4.5 point favorite, over under 67.5. Petrino is 0-3, 0-4 now as interim head coach. 0-3, I believe it is. Hasn't won a game. Man, we saw Mississippi State be so close so many times this year. I think this is the week they find a way to get it done. I like Mississippi State plus 4.5. And I like the over 67.5. I'm confident in Mississippi State, so I'm probably going to take Mississippi State money line at plus 165. I just think the Bulldogs are better. I think that obviously their defense kind of fell apart there in the second half against Texas, really in the fourth quarter. But I think that they find a way to get some stops. I definitely think they can score with this Arkansas team. That's why I like the over at 67.5 as well. But I think Mississippi State finally finds a way to win a game that's going to be a shootout and go in their favor.
I do too. I like Mississippi State plus the 4.5 in this game. Honestly, this game is just really a question of who's going to close one out. I mean, that's really the real question here. Both these teams have struggled mightily to close games out. So something's got to give in this game. Give me 1 second. I want to pull this up so Mississippi State, as well documented, they've had 3 really close SEC losses. They lost by 7 in overtime to Tennessee, lost by 7 in overtime to Texas, lost by 2 in Gainesville when they were driving late. Then on the Arkansas hand, you've got a 9-point loss to Auburn last week. They had 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter. 3-point loss to A&M at home. 3-point loss at Tennessee, 1-point loss to Memphis, 6-point loss to Ole Miss. It's like, man, who's going to step up and close one of these games out? I got a little bit more confidence with Mississippi State right now, so I'm going to lean them. I think I'm going to go with them outright as well, but I definitely like the 4.5 for the Bulldogs, and I think somebody's going to get their first SEC win. I think it's going to be the Mississippi State Bulldogs this week.
All right. South Carolina and Ole Miss. Ole Miss finally gets another night game. Lane Kiffin begs for them all the time. Ole Miss is a 12.5 point favorite. Over-under set at 54.5. Man, I'm not confident at all ever when it's a double digit spread in conference. I don't care if it's the worst team playing the best team. If you're in conference and it's a double digit spread, it scares the hell out of me. Because it could be a 16-13 game that goes down to the final seconds, or it could be a 45-10 blowout. You never know, especially when the spreads are set like that. I'm staying away from this line. I do like the over 54.5. I think Ole Miss finds a way to get a lot of points. I think they left a lot of things out there on the field against Oklahoma. I think South Carolina is able to find a shot play here, too. They were able to move the ball a little bit against Alabama at times. I like Shane Beamer. I think he finds a way to keep things interesting. I'm staying away from the line. As of right now, I'm taking the over 54.5. Things could change. Not 100% sure on that. Usually I take the bets after we get done recording. I'll go back and I'll take them that night because I want to get the lines before they move. But this game, I'm not betting the South Carolina Ole Miss game. If I do, it'll probably be a play I make on Saturday morning. So right now, if I had to play, I'm going with the over 54.5. But I'm not certain in locking that in or anything.
Yeah, I agree with the over. That's the way I would kind of lean too. I mean, I think Ole Miss wins this game. Ole Miss is the better team. But like I said, I have a lot of respect for South Carolina, their ability. I mean, they have some really good pieces, man. Like, I mean, those edge rushers can cause some big-time issues for you. Obviously, Lenore Sellers is a handful. I mean, they're not great on the offensive line. They have questions at receiver, but, man, Lenoris is an absolute handful. I mean, Alabama just struggled to bring him down all day. So I definitely think South Carolina can keep this game close. I'm like you. I'm a little wary of double-digit lines. I mean, it just shows you the depth of this conference, too. I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row now where you've had two of the better teams in the SEC, in Alabama and Ole Miss, are only like 11.5, 12-point favorites against South Carolina. It just goes to show, you look at the Big Ten and some of these other conferences. I mean, Indiana's a 26-point favorite over UCLA and blows their doors off. You just don't get that in the SEC. I mean, the SEC is so compacted this year. From top to bottom, there's just not going to be very big lines. So, yeah, I'm kind of wary of that. I'm probably not taking that, but I do think Ole Miss wins this game. Think South Carolina can keep it close. Wouldn't be shocked if they kept it within the number, but I do think Ole Miss wins.
All right, Oklahoma and Tennessee. Night game at Neyland Stadium. Tennessee's a 3.5-point favorite. Over under set at 56.5. I like the over in this game. I know I've been going on a lot of the overs this week, and I know that's bound to mean that some of them ain't gonna hit. But I like the over 56.5. I don't think this Tennessee defense is going to be able to stop this Oklahoma offense too much. And then on the flip side, I think Tennessee's offense is going to be able to find ways to get this Oklahoma defense, like you just mentioned a little bit ago, that the secondary is the weaker part of this Oklahoma defense. I think if they can give Joey just a couple of seconds, just protect him for just a second, I think these receivers are going to be able to find a way to make a play. I think they're going to be able to get over the top of this Oklahoma defense at times. I like the over 56.5. Staying away from the line. I think I like Oklahoma better as a team. But being at Neyland, high-powered offense, I think that they will be able to. I think they can score more than Oklahoma's offense. But I think this is going to be probably one of the tougher tests for Oklahoma's defense that they get this season. I like the over 56.5, staying away from the line.
Well, you were hitting over a lot. I did want to throw a stat out there. Of 7 SEC games last week, the over hit in 6 of them. So 6 of the 7. The only one was the Vandy, Missouri game, and as we highlighted, it could have been more higher scoring. You had some red zone stops in there. So, the over has not been a bad play at all this year. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like the overs hit a good bit. Like, you're probably winning money if you bet the over in every game this year. So, I think that certainly could be the case again. With that being said, I like Tennessee in this game. I don't want to go. I don't want to go as far as say it's going to be decisive. I don't want to go that far, maybe, but I feel pretty strongly about Tennessee winning this game. It's going to be a great matchup with Tennessee's offense, Oklahoma's defense, really like two top 5 units there, respectively. I just like the matchup with Tennessee's receivers getting loose in this Oklahoma secondary. I just think Oklahoma's one of those teams that I have a lot of, like, Oklahoma's a good team, do not get me wrong at all. I feel like both of these teams are similar in a way. Like, both of them are really looking for a signature win. I'm going to just take a second. I'm going to read out their wins to you. Oklahoma's got Michigan at home, Auburn at home, Kent State, South Carolina, and Illinois State. That was the first game. So it's like Oklahoma, good team. They really don't have a signature win this year.
Agreed.
I mean, I would say, I guess Michigan would be the biggest, which, I mean, that's maybe the 4th or 5th best team in the Big Ten, I guess. And then you look on Tennessee's standpoint as well. You know, they beat Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State, UAB, Syracuse, East Tennessee State. Like, both teams are really in need of a signature win, like a win they can really hang their hat on. I think that's going to be Tennessee in this game. Night game in Neyland. I think they're breaking out the black jerseys. I just like the matchup with Tennessee's receivers here. Like you said, if they can just protect up front long enough, I like the way Joey Aguilar's playing. I think he might have been a little banged up in that Alabama game because he was about as inaccurate as he's been all year. And, man, he was surgical against, I know it was Kentucky, but still, I mean, he was elite in that game. I think he's going to have a pretty big night here, and I would roll Tennessee here. I don't know if I'm going to take the line, but if I am, I'm taking Tennessee -3. Maybe I could end up squeezing it at 2.5. I'd really like it.
100%. All right, Auburn. Kentucky's coming to Auburn. Auburn's a 10.5 point favorite. Over/under set at 44.5. I know that I said I don't like double-digit spreads in conference. I've gone back and forth on this, but I like Auburn -10.5. I like the under 44.5. Auburn has held offenses to their well under average on both passing and rushing all season. A lot of teams aren't scoring more than 17 or 24 on them. I don't see Kentucky getting to that point. I think Auburn's able to score 10 to 17. I'm not sure Kentucky is going to be able to score too much on this Auburn defense, if at all. I think Auburn wins this game something like 21-7, 21-10, 24-10, something like that. I think Auburn handles this game kind of similar to last year. As long as they don't turn the ball over, I like Auburn to cover 10.5 and the under 44.5.
Yeah, with this game, I'm not sure on the 10.5 point line. But I do like Auburn to win this game. I think Auburn may score a little bit more than people think, honestly. I don't think this Kentucky defense has been particularly that great. So I think Auburn may score a little bit more than people are thinking. I wouldn't be shocked. You know, I know obviously they haven't been lighting it up offensively, but we'll see kind of how the week progresses, who they end up ultimately going with. I think based on the Arkansas game, what we saw is probably going to be Ashton Daniels. We'll certainly see, but if they can get that run game going again, I mean, you saw this Tennessee team get. I know this not comparative passing games, but Auburn's got some dogs at receiver. I think they can take advantage of Kentucky if they got a quarterback who can give them the ball. I think Auburn may score a little bit more than people think. So I tell you what, I may ride that 10.5 as well.
I just don't think Kentucky's scoring.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I mean, I don't think Kentucky scores a lot. I think they get it into 10. I could see them scoring 14 to 17 maybe, because I think they're going to have to throw it a lot to kind of stay in this game a little bit. I think Auburn is going to be able to put a few points up on them. So we'll see. I may ride that 10.5 possibly, but all in all, I think Auburn's going to win this game, get their second SEC win. Kind of before we wrapped up, though, I did want to get your thoughts on, because these are two jobs that have been talked about that could come open. Do you see any scenario where especially with the coaching carousel as it is right now with so many high-level jobs coming open and not a ton of candidates, do you think there is a path for Hugh Freeze to save his job and be at Auburn another year? Like, what's your thoughts on that? And same thing with Kentucky. Like, that job's could come open as well. There's been a lot of talk about that. Just give me your thoughts kind of on both those coaching situations.
There's one path for Hugh Freeze to keep his job and be on the Auburn sidelines next year, and that is winning the Iron Bowl, finishing 8-4, and going to a bowl game and really winning the bowl game, going 9-4. That's the way Hugh Freeze saves his job and his back. I don't see it happening. Let's not mistake the fact that just because Auburn scored 33 last week, 7 of those were offensive points on the first drive of the game. Okay, 7 of those. You can count the field goals for whatever. The offense has struggled to move down the field. He's an offensive mind. That's why he was hired. Offensive guru, quarterback guru, and nothing has gone well offensively or quarterback-wise for Auburn. So the only way that he saves his job is if he wins the rest of these games and his offense is able to move down the field and put points up consistently and be above 70% in the red zone in their trips and games, because they're at like 38% right now or whatever it is. So I think that's the path. So I think Auburn's still going to be looking for a coach at the end of this year. And then Kentucky, I think that they're probably going to pull the trigger, but his buyout is large too. I think it's $31 million or something along those lines down there in Kentucky. But I think they find a way to pull the trigger and get it done. I think he's probably done. I don't see him having many more wins, and I think it might stay that same way as long as he's there. I think they're looking for a change. He's been there for 12 years. He's the longest active head coach in SEC. So I think that his time there is probably done, and whatever they do, he's not going to mind because he's going to have a payday either way.
I think that's a situation, too, where I could see them kind of maybe negotiating a buyout or a settlement or something and kind of allowing him to go find another opportunity, kind of almost like a mutually agreeing to part ways. You kind of heard like rumblings of that maybe at Kentucky and them wanting to part ways, and maybe, like I said, give him a chance to get some of his money, but also be able to leave on pretty good terms and go find another opportunity and kind of reset his clock somewhere else if he so chooses to. So I could maybe see a scenario like that where I don't think it's necessarily like a Brian Kelly situation where it's souring so quickly that they're like, I could see them maybe coming to some sort of agreement or something like that. Wouldn't shock me there. But yeah, I think it is more likely than not that both jobs probably end up coming open. Definitely a tough cycle to have that happen in for sure, because it's Florida State's looking like it may come open. There was a report, Diana Rossini, an NFL reporter, talking about, Steve Sarkisian may be interested in some open NFL jobs, which, by the way, you want to talk about kicking over the anthill on the coaching carousel is have Texas come open as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that would throw a huge wrench in everything.
Sarkisian all but undressed her, talking about how unprofessional it is to be putting out these false reports and stuff, and it's like, man, I think she's got her finger on the pulse pretty well. It must have some type of truth to it. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I definitely think he's gonna and I don't think people should be like super surprised. We talked about it over the last couple of years, and this has been like a talking point with a lot of people, not just exclusively here, but of how the demands of coaching in college football right now are going to lead guys to maybe have a shorter shelf life, or maybe the schedule in the NFL is a lot, it's a lot more freer. You're not having to do the 24/7 recruiting that you're having to do in college football, and it's just a totally different schedule. So it's a lot less on your plate. All 365 days of the year. You're not constantly working around the clock necessarily. So, I mean, it's still very demanding, but not to the level that college has gotten to now.
Correct. So, and there's no recruiting.
So, yeah.
Only ball.
Only ball. You got a GM to handle. I mean, obviously you're involved, but not to the level that a college coach is, and having to re-recruit your roster every year and things like that. So, we'll see how that works out, but obviously it's going to be a loaded coaching carousel. It's already becoming that way. But unless you got anything else you want to cover, just hope everyone has a great Week 10 in college football. It's hard to believe we're saying that already. I mean, we're over 2/3 of the way through the regular season, which is just hard to believe. But it's going to be an interesting final month. Believe the college football playoff rankings will be coming out next week and next Tuesday. So that'll be interesting to see. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. Getting some good numbers there with the shorts. People liking those, commenting. A lot of views on TikTok recently. Appreciate that. A lot of traction on the Lane Kiffin talk, which is nice, which is to be expected. A lot of people want to talk about and hear about that. So be sure to follow us on TikTok as well. And I just really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.